Here begins a dramatic reading of a play in 4 acts. Act 1, Ezra. In the first year of the reign of King Cyrus of Persia, things were not well in Jerusalem. The exiles were still stuck in Babylonia, and the ones left behind were not faring much better. But Cyrus had just defeated the Babylonians, and so the Lord used King Cyrus to accomplish the words of the prophet Jeremiah and God's own plan for the restoration of Jerusalem.
The Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he has charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem and Judah. Any of those among you who are his people, may their God be with them. Are now permitted to go to Jerusalem and Judah and rebuild the house of the Lord.
The men of Israel came home to Jerusalem. Then Joshua and his brothers the priests, and Zerubbabel and his brothers, arose and built the altar of the God of Israel to offer burnt offerings on it, as it is written in the law of Moses, the man of God. And when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, the priests in their vestments came forward with trumpets, and the Levites with cymbals to praise the Lord, according to the direction of David, king of Israel.
Let us sing responsively and shout out with praise and thanksgiving to the Lord, for he is good, and his steadfast love endures forever.
Ezra made the following proclamation.
I hear Israel, listen to me. From the days of our ancestors to this day, we have been deep in guilt, and for our iniquities, we, our kings and our priests, have been handed over to the kings of the lands, to the sword, to captivity, to plundering, and to utter shame, as is now the case. But now, for a brief moment, favor has been shown by the Lord our God, who has left us a remnant and given us a stake in this holy place, so that he may brighten our eyes and grant us a little sustenance on our slavery. For we are slaves, yet our God has not forsaken us in our slavery, but has extended to us his steadfast love before the kings of Persia, to give us new life, to set up the house of our God, to repair its ruins, and to give us a wall in Judea and in Jerusalem.
Thus ends Act 1 and begins Act 2, Haggai. In the 2nd year of King Darius, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Haggai. The rebuilding of the temple had been halted, and the people were saying it was not yet time to build the Lord's house. Haggai spoke to the people.
Is it time for you yourselves to dwell in your paneled houses while this house lies desolate? Do you not see the consequences? You have sown much, but harvest little. You eat, but there is not enough to be satisfied. You drink, but not enough to be drunk. You put on clothing, but no one is warm enough. And he who earns wages to put into a purse with holes.
Yes, I am with you according to the promise that I made when you came out of Egypt. My spirit abides among you. Do not fear. Once again, in a little while, I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all the nations, so that the treasure of all nations shall come, and I will fill this house with splendor. The latter splendor of this house shall be greater than the former, and in this place I will give prosperity.
Thus ends Act 2 and begins Act 3, Nehemiah. A report was made to the prophet Nehemiah, still in Babylon, that life in Jerusalem was very difficult for those that had escaped exile. Those survivors were great in trouble and shame. The wall of Jerusalem was broken down, and its gates were destroyed by fire. The people repented. They agreed to give back the land that they had taken and listened to the words of Nehemiah. Everything was well again, and the wall was finished on the 25th day of the month of Elul, in 52 days. And when their enemies heard of it, all the nations were afraid, for they perceived that this work had been accomplished with the help of God, and the people of Israel spoke. Nehemiah, we are gathered here at the water gate. Please ask Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had given to Israel.
I, Nehemiah, say this. People, we have now read to you from the book of the law of God, and you have understood it and were moved by it. But remember that this day is holy to the Lord your God. Do not mourn or weep. Go your way, eat the fat and drink sweet wine, and send portions of them to those for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy to our Lord, and do not be grieved, for the joy of the Lord is your strength.
At the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sought out the Levites in all their places to bring them to Jerusalem to celebrate the dedication with rejoicing, with thanksgivings and with singing, with cymbal, harps, and lyres. And Nehemiah cleansed them from everything foreign and established the duties of the priests and the Levites, each in his work.
Thus ends Act 3 and begins Act 4. Zechariah. In the second year of King Darius, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Zechariah.
The Lord has spoken to me, and now I say to you, return to the Lord, and he will return to you. Do not be like your ancestors who committed evil deeds and did not heed the word of the Lord.
I am the Lord your God. Here is what I want from you. Render true judgment, show kindness and mercy to one another. Do not oppress the widow, the orphan, the alien, or the poor, and do not devise evil in your hearts against one another.
The Lord is pleased. He has said to me, I am jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I am jealous for her with great wrath. I will return to Zion and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. Jerusalem shall be called the faithful city, and the mountain of the Lord of hosts shall be called the holy mountain. There shall be a sowing of peace. The vine shall yield its fruit. The ground shall give its produce, and the skies shall give their due. Once again, O house of Judah and house of Israel, I will save you, and you shall be a blessing to the nations. Do not be afraid, but let your hands be strong. I am the Lord their God, and I will answer them. The children shall rejoice, and their hearts shall exult in the Lord. I have redeemed them, and they shall be as numerous as they once were.
Yes, though I, the Lord your God, scattered you among the nations, yet in far countries they shall remember me, and they shall rear their children and return. I will bring them home from the land of Egypt and gather them from Assyria. I will bring them to the land of Gilead and to Lebanon until there is no room for them. They shall pass through the sea of distress, and the waves of the sea shall be struck down, and all the depths of the Nile dried up. The pride of Assyria shall be laid low, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart. I will make them strong in the Lord, and they shall walk in my name. The community will be rebuilt, and all will be well again in Jerusalem. Thus ends the play.